Hello. So, before the actual movie begins, I wanted to just tell you how it's gonna go. Basically, how I have this script I wrote on the Dragon Slayer movie on my monitor, and what I'm planning on doing is just creating a slideshow of just like RuneScape pictures and like dragons and stuff, and having it play out in the background. And if you want to, you can read along. There should be a link to the Dragon Slayer script that I wrote in the description below of this video. And RuneScape, Jagex, if you ever see this video and you actually like this movie, you can have it for free. I don't need anything, royalties or anything. It might need a little bit of editing, but overall, I really enjoyed creating this movie, like writing this script for the Dragon Slayer, because I don't know if you guys know, but if you follow the history on the Dragon Slayer quest, that was actually the very last quest that Jagex created on RuneScape before they brought membership into the game. And there's a lot of like lore around it, and I hope you enjoy this actually. I'm gonna start in just a second, but yeah, I hope you do enjoy this. I'm gonna get into the Dragon Slayer for you. And if you do enjoy it, feel free to get this video a like, share it if you want, and let me know in the comments below what was your favorite part and stuff. And yeah, my in-game username on RuneScape is Lamjesus. It looks like I am Jesus, but that's actually a L instead of an I. And yeah, this is whenever I got my Ellie. It was pretty sick actually. Most exciting drop I've ever gotten in the game. So, but anyways, I'm gonna get into it for you. And sorry if I pause throughout the video to hit my vape. I do vape, and sometimes it helps. So I'm gonna try and do this in one take. If not, it's all good. Let's begin. The Dragon Slayer, written by Sean Narden, based on a RuneScape story. It was a dark, stormy night. A stubborn, greedy adventurer searching for treasure stumbles on what he thinks may be a gold mine. The first adventurer. I wonder what can be in these caves. Maybe treasure, as he laughs to himself. Then, as he moves deeper into the cave, the drunken adventurer stumbles over and kicks a small puddle. He hears the clink, clink, clink sound. He picks up this small object and bites down on it. It's gold, he says. He then proceeds to move deeper into the cave, and he finds more gold pieces as he goes on. He starts screaming, "I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna be rich." He keeps following the path, enriching himself as he moves deeper and deeper into the cave. Then he comes to an opening, and he sees a pile of gold stacked to the ceiling. The first adventurer screams, "Oh my God!" He charges towards the gold. He starts throwing it in the air, playing with it, and screaming over and over again, "I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna buy Varrock with all this gold," as his eyes light up with greed. Then he hears loud, large footsteps somewhere in the cave walking towards him. He hears the growl as a great beast approaches from the depths of the shadows. Grrr as the creature approaches. The adventurer tries to search for a hiding spot. He finds a tunnel to hide in. Then the creature walks out into the open room. It pauses for a second and starts sniffing. It stops sniffing, growls, and turns to the adventurer, hiding in the tunnel next to it. The adventurer pulls out his sword and screams, "This is my gold now!" as he strikes the beast right in the snout. And the creature gets back on its hind legs and quickly devours the adventurer in one bite. Then it roars and charges out of the cave and takes flight. Now this is when the Elvarg has basically left its cave. The adventurer smacked him, and it's basically unleashing its wrath on Draenor. So Diego yells to Olivia, "Get down, Olivia!" as a breath of fire comes blazing down from the sky. Diego races over to Olivia. Olivia says, "I'm so scared, what's going on?" Diego responds by saying, "It'll be okay, I promise," as they kneel behind a stall. Then whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They hear and see the creature fly above them. The guards scream, "He's over here! Charge!" Then the creature lands on top of the building. He roars and blows fire into the air. All the guards of Draenor throw their spears at the beast. Roar! The beast flaps its wings and blows fire at a group of guards and takes flight. The guards scream, "Where did it go? Where did it go? I don't see it anymore." Then they hear the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh high above them as the creature knocks them all over with the force of its wings. Then he flies off and lands in the lumbered fields near the jail. At this point, the lumber's guards are not aware of what's going on at the moment. Then one guard spots the creature approaching from the shadows. The lumber's guard screams, "Dragon! Dragon! Dragon!" He sounds the alarms and 7 guards run off behind the castle to confront the beast. Now, switch to the main character's perspective, which is named Jesus. This is in first person too. As I'm staring off into the fields behind the Lumbridge castle, I see 7 knights run off into the shadows. I hear a whoosh right outside the main tower window from the distance. Then a loud roar erupts from the distance. Roar! Then the sounds of swords and spears clashing echo throughout the castle walls. The goblins all start charging towards the shadow. Roar! I don't know how to make a roar sound, truthfully, so you gotta beg my pardon for that. Then a breath of fire comes blazing out of the shadows. Then a whoosh, 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 and all the goblins cower away and start running for their lives. Then I see my 8-year-old sister, frightened, shivering, cowering in fear in the middle of the farmer's patch. She screams and starts racing towards the castle walls. The creature takes wind of her and starts charging its way towards her. I scream from my bedroom window, "Run, Susie, run! It's coming for you." Then about 2/3 the way to the castle gates, the creature catches up to her. Susie stops in fear, and the creature stares deep into her eyes. It growls ferociously. Then 3 guards of Lumbridge come racing towards the creature. Guard 1 says, "Hey, you there, stand and deliver." Guard 2, "Get away from the girl, you foul beast." With their weapons in hand, they swing at the beast. The creature turns around and faces the guards. He grabs one of them with his mouth and eats him right in front of the other 2. Guard 1 jabs his blade deep into the creature's side. The other guard hacks as hard as he can into the creature's side as well. The creature howls and then blows fire upward towards the castle. I duck, not to get burned. Then when I peek back over outside my castle window, the creature, Susie, and all the guards are gone. "Susie," I cry out, "Susie!" I race to the ground floor of the castle, and the Duke of Lumbridge stops me before I exit the castle. "Hold on, boy. Where do you think you're going? Can't you see there's a dragon out there?" "A dragon?" Yes, a dragon. It's terrorizing the land. We've lost so many men tonight already. But it has my sister. My sister. It's out there. That thing has my sister. I saw it next to her from my castle window. You've got to believe me." Now the Duke. No. You've got to be careful. This is a dragon we're talking about. "Ugh, I know. Just let me through already." Jesus pushes his way through to the outside doors of the castle, and then he makes his way to the western side of the castle and starts calling out for Susie's name. "Susie! Susie! Susie! Where are you?" He frantically makes his way towards the back of the castle, where Susie was last seen. He gasps at what he sees. In front of him was 4 giant footprint holes, a guard's sword in the ground, and Susie's left shoe in the middle of it all. He runs up to it. "Susie, Susie." Then he hears from the distance behind him, "Hey, you shouldn't be out here." And a guard of Lumbridge comes racing towards him. The guard of Lumbridge says, "Hey kid, you shouldn't really be out here right now." Then Jesus screams, "It has my sister, it has my sister." The guard puts his arm around me as the tears pour out of my eyes. That was 15 years ago, tomorrow. Jesus attends the annual play in the Varrock Square, a celebration for that day of battle and the lives lost. The announcer comes on stage and says, many, many years ago, a great battle took place in these lands. It was a night just like tonight. People were partying, having a good time. Then out of nowhere, a dragon came flying in and breathed fire down from the sky, slaying many. Then a dragon runs out on stage and roars at the crowd, and the crowd goes wild. Jesus, to himself, says, I'm sick of this already. They don't understand the pain. All they understand is that it happened. They don't understand the pain of living through it, though. So Jesus walks away from the square, and starts talking to himself. I must slay this dragon. I must, God, I must. People start giving Jesus funny looks and laughing at him. Then the guildmaster walks up to Jesus and confronts him and says, Are you being serious, boy? Why, yes, I am. That dragon they speak of took my sister. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. You may want to speak to the wise old man. He may be able to help you. Now jump to a part where Jesus heads to Draenor and is on his way. And as he's on his way, he's greeted by Fred the farmer. Jesus basically says, Hey Fred, how's it going? As he's passing through. Fred responds by saying, Hey Jesus, have you been shearing my sheep recently? Jesus kind of laughs and says, No, I haven't been actually, Fred. And then Fred responds by saying, Oh, okay, I could have swore I saw you the other day in my pen. Jesus asks us how. I'm like, no, it must have been someone else or something. Okay, well, anyways, where are you heading? Jesus responds by saying, Draenor, I'm in search of the wise old man. I'm hunting a dragon. Then, deep on Karamja, inside the lair of Elvarg lies the beast and as much gold as the eyes can see. The dragon gets up, walks around a bit, breathes fire into the air, and gold pieces fall to the ground. Now this is a part where Jesus actually reaches the old man. It's like, knock, knock, knock. Jesus says outside the wise old man's house, Mr. Wise Old Man, it's me, Jesus, from the Lumbridge Castle. I'd like to speak to you about dragons. The wise old man answers the door. Dragons, eh? Come on in, boy. Watch your step, though. You never know what's roaming around over here. And don't kick that bed. Jesus looks over the bed and asks, Why would I kick the bed? Wise old man, you don't want to know. As Jesus hears a faint growl from underneath the bed. Oh, okay, I see. The wise old man says, Over here, sit. And the wise old man leans forward in his chair and asks Jesus, So what kind of dragon are we talking about, boy? Jesus says, The one that attacked the castle so many years ago. The one that took my sister. The wise old man takes a puff of his pipe. Then he leans back in a chair and says, Oh, that one, eh? Yeah, that's a mean one. I remember like it was yesterday. That dragon nearly burned up all of Draenor Village down in one go. Olivia, our dearest farmer, nearly lost her life that day, and like half the animals, trees, and buildings. That was a real nasty dragon. It took nearly 20 guards to get it to fly away. I thought it was going to destroy the entire town. Jesus responds by saying, Yeah, that one actually. It took my baby sister. I see. Yeah, the best I could do is slide you a potion that will help you in the time of need. Jesus responds by saying, What kind of potion is it? But the wise old man basically tells him it's a 4-dose anti-fire potion. And Jesus was like, What's it do? And the wise old man responds by saying, Well, usually when someone uses it, it gives them just the right amount of time to escape from the dragon. And Jesus responds by saying, So it's like a repellent of some sort. Wise old man, yeah, somewhat. You'll have better luck talking to the dragon trainer, Oziak, in Edgeville. And Jesus responds, Oh, okay, thank you for your help. So Jesus basically he's making his way to Edgeville to meet with the dragon trainer, Oziak. Jesus gets to Oziak's house, and Jesus basically goes, Oziak, are you here? It's Jesus, the wise old man of Draenor, recommended I come see you. I'm hunting a dragon. And before Jesus actually finishes dragon, an arrow shoots from the distance and pierces the door. And Oziak approaches from behind and says, A dragon, eh? Then he grunts, He steps back a bit and looks Jesus in the eyes and says, "Do you know how quick and stealthy dragons are? Their wings can knock a grown man to the ground. Their teeth are as sharp as knight swords, and their breath can roast a chicken in 2 seconds flat." Jesus' eyes open real wide. "How sure are you that you want to hunt this dragon, you say?" Jesus responds by saying, "I'm very serious. This dragon took my little sister." Oziak says, "Okay, come in." And as Jesus enters his house, he sees a plate body hanging on the wall. It's glittering blue, the most beautiful blue he's ever seen in his life. And he asks Oziak, "What's that?" Oziak responds by saying, This, my friend, is a rune plate body. There's only 5 in existence of the land of Gilnor. It's a badge of honor, the highest of highs." Jesus goes, "Whoa, and you have one?" Oziak responds by saying, "Yes, I do. I earned it from the king of Falador when I successfully caught a baby blue dragon with my own trap." Jesus, over the moon, was like, "Whoa, that's amazing. Can you teach me how to do that?" And Oziak responds by saying, No, boy. Hold your horses. You haven't even passed the first test to be trained by a dragon master like I yet." Jesus responds by saying, "What do I have to do?" Oziak basically follows up by saying, "Your quest begins with you by locating the 3 missing map pieces, and find the pieces, find your dragon." Jesus basically asks him again, "So what's my first step?" Oziak responds by, "Your armor, it needs upgrading. Your shield needs to be dragon proof. Your range needs training. Your trapping and tracking skills need work too." Oziak says, "I'd start with your quests by going to speak with the guildmaster in Lumbridge. He will point you in the direction of the map pieces. He should also be able to give you an anti-dragonfire shield." Jesus responds by saying, "Yes, sir, I'll go there now." So basically at this point, Jesus heads back to Lumbridge Castle to speak with the guildmaster and the duke. And Jesus makes his way back to the castle and goes up to the 2nd floor. Then he goes into the guildmaster's room and basically says, "Hey, guildmaster, may I speak to you about the 3 missing map pieces?" The guildmaster responds by saying, "Absolutely, Jesus. How may I assist you? My grandmother told me all about them." And Jesus goes, "Where are they located, The guildmaster responds by saying, "Well, you see, it's only rumors and stuff, but I believe this first one is in the maze, the second one's with the dwarves, and the third piece is with a goblin." Well, Jesus asks, "Well, how do I get into the maze, then?" The guildmaster pulls out a key from his back pocket and says, "With this key." Jesus asks basically, "May I have it?" The guildmaster sighs a little bit, and he looks at Jesus and says, "Of course, just be safe in there." Jesus responds by saying, "Thank you so much." And Jesus basically makes his way back to Edgeville to meet with Oziak. And he tells him, "I've obtained the key to the maze." And Oziak tells him to come in to his house with a whisper. And as Jesus is entering his house, he basically asks out loud, "Why is it dark in here?" Then as Jesus heads deeper into Oziak's house, he trips and stumbles over something and falls to the ground. And Oziak goes, "Gotcha." And Jesus was like, "What? That wasn't fair. I wasn't expecting that at all." And Oziak says to him, "You must always be on your guard when you're hunting a dragon. You'll never know if you're stepping on its tail or not until it's right in front of you." And Jesus responds by saying, "What do you mean?" Oziak responds by saying, "Dragons aren't like normal creatures of the night. They're smart. They like to toy with their prey. They like to play tricks. So it's very important for you to be on your guard whenever you're going up against one." Oziak says, "You never know if it's watching you or not." Jesus kind of hesitantly goes, "Oh, okay, I'll make sure I pay attention." And he basically responds by saying, "You better, your life depends on it." And Oziak follows up with, So now that you have the maze key, I must warn you that this maze isn't like any ordinary maze. It will test your strength, your endurance, and your memory. Oziak responds by, the endless past can drive some people insane. I know of one warrior who got lost in the maze and nearly lost his life because of it. Jesus responds by saying, okay, I appreciate the warning. I'm going to be on my way now. And Jesus makes his way to the maze entrance south of Falador. Jesus approaches a large building with a very strange entrance on it. A warning message that says, only those chosen may succeed. Proceed at your own risk. Jesus uses the key on the door. It unlocks. He steps in the building. The door slams shut behind him. The first room Jesus enters. It's dark. And there are 5 mirrors on the walls. Jesus found a message that says, the path you seek is behind your reflection. Jesus then approaches the closest mirror to his left. He stares at it for a second, and he touches it. A mound of dust comes off the mirror, and he tosses it to the ground. The path you seek is behind your reflection. What can that mean? It must have something to do with the mirrors and my reflection. They must show the way. So Jesus looks at all the other mirrors. They all look the same. Gosh dang it. I'll never figure this out, he thinks to himself. And in the silence of the room, he hears a very faint howl off in the distance, almost like wind blowing. He asks himself, what is that? He listens even deeper. Whoosh. It's wind. It must be. And Jesus approaches a mirror. The howl is faint. No, it's not this one. And he approaches the next mirror. Not it either. Then he goes up to the right mirror and he hears the howl. He leans up against the mirror. He scans it for cracks and crevices. He then feels a gust of wind gushing out of the right side of the mirror. He feels around and he finds a small thumb hole on the side of the mirror. He sticks his thumb in and pulls towards him. As the mirror begins to open, then a huge gust of wind comes surging out of the crack as the mirror opens. Jesus peeks into the next room and he sees a ladder that descends downward toward the basement. Jesus climbs the ladder, gets to the bottom, and there's a candle on the ground. He lights it. He follows the path to an open room with a very weird layout. He looks to his right and he sees a pendulum-looking mechanism with a track on it. There are 3 steel balls next to it, on a rack. In front of him are pads in an odd order. They seem to lead to the other side with a pit in between them. And there seems to be a log beam, then a platform with a short gap on the other side. Jesus asks to himself, what do I do? Do I just go to the other side? What? I'm confused. It must have something to do with the pendulum. He thinks to himself, So Jesus approaches the pendulum and notices the first lock switch on it. He says to himself, one of these pads have to unlock the door to the next room. And he says, let's see. So Jesus puts a ball on the pendulum and it begins to roll on the track. The ball glides its way past the first pad. Nothing. A few seconds later, it passes the second pressure pad. Nothing happens. It then proceeds to pass the third pad. A few seconds later, nothing again. Then it reaches the fourth pad, and Jesus hears a click noise echo through the room. The door on the other side of the room unlocks momentarily. Success, he screams. The ball reaches the fifth pad. Click, and the door locks itself again. And the ball starts to roll back down the track in reverse. It rolls back over the fourth pad. Click, again the door unlocks. Then it reaches the third pad. Click, the door locks again. Crap, Jesus yells to himself. How am I going to do this? And a flashback to what Oziak has said to him earlier comes flashing into his mind. Remember your training, Jesus. A lot of people lose their marbles in the maze. "Marbles! Marbles!" Jesus yells. At this point, the ball has come to a halt right beside the third pressure pad in the middle, and Jesus thinks of these balls like marbles in a way. So Jesus starts talking to himself. He says, "What if I drop another ball on the track and use it to ricochet off the first ball and knock it onto the right pad? It'd be like greater ricochet firing multiple shots at once." Jesus pictures it in his mind working. He sees the two balls colliding in the center, and the momentum from the second ball knocks the first ball into the exact spot he needs. So Jesus breathes deeply and softly says to himself, "We've got one shot, one opportunity to seize this." Jesus then grabs the second ball. He puts it on the track, then lets it go. He races towards the first obstacle. He jumps to the first pad. Success. He jumps to the second pad. Success. He jumps to the third and fourth pad in a fraction of a second. Then he dives onto the platform, nearly falling into the other pit. He catches his balance and races towards the log beam. Then he hears it, the clink as the two balls collide. The first ball goes soaring up the track right past the pad. Click, the door unlocks. The second ball rolls back a little bit and triggers the lock, actually. Jesus screams, "Shoot!" Jesus crosses the log beam just fine and is approaching the leap of faith. He gets a running start and jumps as the first ball rolls back down the track over the fourth pressure pad. The door unlocks as Jesus is soaring through the air. He hears it, the click. Jesus lands on the platform and races towards the door as fast as possible. He looks to his right and sees that first ball nearing the third pad, which will lock the door. Jesus screams as he reaches his hand out, and he grabs a knob and pulls. The door is heavy though, and as he does, the ball rolls over the third pad, locking the door as Jesus opens it. "Phew," he screams. "That was close." Then Jesus is led into a new room with a deep dark hallway. Jesus grabs a candle from the ground and lights it with his tinderbox. Then he sees on the wall a message. "What you seek is behind your darkest fear." Jesus proceeds down the hall. Then he mutters to himself, "What you seek is behind your darkest fear. What can that mean?" Then he takes a left as the hall comes to an end, and in the middle of the wall it says, "Only those not afraid of certain death may find their treasure." Jesus pauses for a second and thinks about what he's doing. Is this even worth it? Can I really do this? Can I really succeed? Then his inner voice, or guardian angel, says to him, "Yes, you are, Jesus. Yes, you can. You are worthy. You will succeed where others have failed." He then proceeds to make his way down the hall. Then he sees on the wall to his left, the path to righteousness is just beyond the horizon. He proceeds to walk into what seems like an empty room. He sees 5 doors. Each door has a creature imprinted on it. And above the door, he looks at the first one. The first door has a cow on it. He looks at the second door. It has a snake on it with Zora engraved on it. He looks at the third door and sees a chicken. He looks at the fourth door. He sees a dragon, a fierce one. It spooks him a little bit. Jesus says to himself, "This one has to lead to the next room. I'm sure of it." He doesn't even look at the 5th door. He approaches the dragon door and pulls the knob. As he opens the door, a gust of wind comes racing out and nearly blows out his candle. Then he enters the hallway. The door behind him slams shut, locking Jesus on the inside. There's no turning back now, he says to himself. Jesus continues marching forward for what seems to be like forever. Then he sees something. It seems to look like a normal door. He approaches it, not knowing where it's going to lead him. He opens it, takes 5 steps forward before feeling a huge draft of air come racing up from the bottom of this pit. He sees a rope swing on the other side of the pit and another rope leading to a platform with some sort of mysterious chest on it. Jesus says to himself, that must be it, the chest with the first map piece. But how do I get to it? So Jesus scans the room for the solution. He looks to his left and sees nothing. He looks to his right where he sees a rock wall. Jesus approaches it. I think I must climb this wall to the other side. Jesus starts to climb the decaying rock wall. The first challenge he faces is a loose rubble protruding off the wall. About halfway across, Jesus tries to grab a brick with his left hand, but it comes loose and nearly makes him fall. He quickly swings his body against the wall, yelling in the process, then uses his left leg and digs his foot into the wall to support his weight. Then Jesus makes it to the next hand hold. Then he successfully scales the wall to the other side. Jesus says to himself, phew, that was a close one. He approaches the rope swing. He grabs it, steps back a few steps, then charges forward. Swoosh as Jesus soars across the pit of doom. He makes it with a successful landing. Then he approaches the last obstacle, a rope glen. Jesus grabs the rope with both hands and he tugs on it. He says it seems stable, so Jesus starts to climb. About halfway to the top, a hatch at the top is triggered. Releases some kind of slack on the rope, so Jesus free falls a few feet before stopping, nearly losing his grip as he's falling, but he recovers. He makes his way to the top. He climbs onto the platform and he sees the golden chest laying there. He approaches it, then he opens it. When Jesus opens the chest, he sees at the bottom of it the first map piece. He grabs it and says, it must be made of some hide, dragon hide. Then as he closes the chest, a hidden passageway opens up to his left. It's a path, he says to himself. It's dark and long, but there are glimmers of light shining through at the end. Jesus follows the path for a while. It leads to a door with a ladder. He climbs the ladder. There's a hatch at the top of it. He opens the hatch and he climbs out. He's immediately greeted by a Fowler guard. The guard looks puzzled, though. The Fowler guard says, who goes there? Where have you come from? Jesus has to explain to himself by saying, my name is Jesus. I am the son of the king of Lumbridge. I completed the maze and retrieved one of the missing map pieces. The Fowler guard responds by saying, you don't say. No one's ever came out of that hatch before. What map piece do you speak of, kid? This one, Jesus shows the guard the map piece. Rumors is, when you have all three pieces of the map, it shows you exactly where Alvarg the dragon lays. The Fowler guard responds by saying, Alvarg the dragon? Preposterous. Jesus has to tell him, I'm being serious, sir. I intend to slay him. The guard looks at Jesus with eyes wide open. Okay, boy, I believe you. However, it's late. Let me escort you to safety. There's a ton of muggers and goblins out there right now. Yes, sir. The guard leads Jesus to the entrance of Faldor, and as they are walking, Jesus says to the guard, what a beautiful city you have. The Faldor guard responds by saying, why, yes, it is. One of the better ones. Jesus responds by saying, so how long have you been a Faldor guard for? The guard responds by saying, I've been a guard for 13 years now. I started off as a blacksmith after college, but I transitioned into becoming a guard shortly after. And Jesus responds by saying, I see, that's pretty cool. Do you enjoy it? Fowler guard responds by saying, why, yes, I do. It gives me purpose and keeps my mind sharp. And Jesus responds by saying, I could see that. That's really neat. I'm glad you enjoy it. The Fowler guard follows up with saying, yeah, you meet a lot of cool people and it pays very well. And at this point, the guard and Jesus approach the entrance of Faldor. The Faldor guard basically says, okay, well, here's our stop. You be on your way, Jesus, and watch out for them drunken dwarves on your way back to the castle. Jesus responds by saying, okay, thank you, I will. And the guard wishes him luck and says, good luck on your adventure. Jesus responds by saying, thank you. And as Jesus makes his way out of Falador, he sees the two statues that lie at the entrance, representing their king and queen. Jesus stops and pauses for a second. He stares at the statue as the moon shines down upon him. He holds the map piece, and a part of it begins to glow. Whoa, what is this? An inner voice inside him speaks to him. Use the moon's rays to shine upon the opening. Whoa, this is so cool. I must show Oziak this. So Jesus makes his way to Oziak's house. Oziak, open up. It's Jesus. I retrieved the first map piece from the maze. I got to show you something. Oziak opens his door, even though it's late. Come in. Jesus explained with overwhelming excitement. The map is like a star map. It uses the moon's light to show the way. Oziak says, what do you mean? And Jesus has to tell him, come outside, I'll show you. So Jesus shows Oziak the map piece outside. The moon's rays shine upon them, and a piece of the map starts to shine. Whoa, this is incredible. I didn't know about this. Jesus responds by saying, yeah, there was a message on the chest that read, the day's rays lead you astray, while the night skies enlighten your eyes. It must mean that the night skies, the moon shines a light on the route, Jesus says. Oziak responds by saying, wow, that's incredible. Yeah, pretty wild actually. Oziak says, it's late, let's get back inside and discuss this more in the morning at this point. So Jesus and Oziak had to sleep that night. And that night, an angel visits Jesus in his dreams. Jesus wakes up in a strange land, looking over a beautiful lake. Jesus says, what? Where am I? And a soft female voice from the distance says to him, you're in Taverley, Jesus. Jesus turns around and says, what? Taverley? I was just at Oziak's house in Edville. How did I get here? The Lady of the Lake says, you're dreaming, Jesus. I transported your consciousness here. What? I'm dreaming? What do you mean? Who are you? I'm the Lady of the Lake. I have an understanding of the spiritual world. I can peek forwards and backwards in time. Jesus at this point gasps and says, wow, that's so cool. The Lady of the Lake says, yes, I've been watching you since you were a child. And Jesus asks, like, what? Why me? The Lady of the Lake says, it has to be you, Jesus. Only you can slay Elvarg, and I'm here to help you do just that. Jesus asks how. The Lady of the Lake says, have you ever looked into studying herblore before? Jesus quickly responds by saying, no, I haven't. The Lady of the Lake, okay, that's fine. I have a friend here in Taverley who I'd like to introduce you to. He should be able to whip you up a potion to help you with your strength, endurance, and agility. The Lady of the Lake, his name is Sanfru. Tell him I sent you. Okay, but will do, but where do I find him? The Lady of the Lake responds by saying, you'll know when you see him. Now rise, Jesus. Jesus immediately wakes up from his sleep. He's back to Oziak's house. It's the morning and he feels incredibly refreshed. So Jesus basically says, Oziak, wake up. Oziak, kind of being half asleep, goes, arg, what is it, boy? Jesus says, the Lady of the Lake visited me in a dream last night. And Oziak responds like, the Lady of the Lake? Jesus says, yes, she visited me in a dream. She told me I must go see someone by the name of Sanfru in Taverley. Oziak responds by saying, why? Jesus basically tells him, Herblore, I think he has a potion for me. Oziak responds by saying, I see, well, what are you waiting for? Go. Jesus basically says, okay, I'm going. Do you mind if I leave the map piece here for safekeeping? And Oziak says, yes, of course. And when you get back, I'm going to have some more training lessons for you. Jesus quickly says, okay, thank you so much. So Jesus makes his way to Taverley in search of Sanfru. Jesus reaches Taverley, and as he's making his way down the path, he sees many villagers gathered around in one room with a chest. Jesus approaches the crowd and asks, what's going on here? One of the villagers responds by saying, it's Brutus. He's using crystal keys on the magical chest. The magical chest? What's that? Villager 1 responds by saying, well, you see, you gotta find a Lupath and a Toothpath key somewhere around Gilnor. Then when you use the two together, it forms a crystal key. Brutus screams then, room plate legs and a dragonstone, success! And the crowd goes wild. Jesus says, a dragonstone? I've only heard rumors of those gems before. Villager 1 responds by saying, yeah, Brutus has a ton of them. He's a great adventurer. And a tall, skinny man walks in the room. The crowd goes silent. Brutus, is that you, Jack? Jack responds by saying, good day to you, Brutus. I see you got yourself a nice pair of room plate legs. Brutus responds by saying, why, yes I did, my friend. Yes I did, as he smiles wide. Jesus asks a villager who this Jack guy is. And the villager basically says he's the cornerstone of Gilnor. Everyone knows him. Jesus basically says, wow. And the villager follows it up with, yeah, he's the legend that slayed a baby blue dragon before. No one got to see it, but we just take his word for it. Jesus responds by saying, is that how he got the scar on his right arm? That's a huge cut, looks like. And the villager responds by saying, yeah, we believe so. And Jesus says to himself, wow, I must talk to him really quick. So Jesus approaches Jack and says, hi Jack, my name's Jesus. I heard you took down a blue dragon before. I'm currently on a quest myself. Jack looks at Jesus and says, oh really? What kind? Jesus responds by saying, Elvarg, he took my sister from me 15 years ago, and I'm on a quest to take him down. Jack responds by saying, I've heard of Elvarg before. A nasty dragon, a real ferocious. But you need 3 map pieces to even locate where it is. Jesus says, yeah, correct. I have one of them. I retrieved it from the maze. Jack simply responds like, oh really? And Jesus says, yeah, I'd like to ask you something. Is there anything you recommend to a fellow adventurer when dealing with dragons? Jack pulls Jesus in real close and says, never attack head on. Use stealth. Hit it from the side and aim for the neck. And never, I mean never, underestimate its strength. He then points to a scar and says, you see this? That was from a dragon's tail whip. It nearly disarmed and killed me. So remember to be stealthy. Use a combination of attacks. Range and melee work the best. Jesus simply says, okay, thank you so much. Before I go though, by any chance do you know where Sanfu's house is? Jack replies by saying, yeah, he's right around the corner actually. A few houses down, there's a potion plaque on his door. Jesus basically says, okay, thank you so much. So Jesus leaves the building and starts walking down the street of Taverley. The lanterns start to flicker as Jesus approaches Sanford's house. Then he sees a potion plaque on a door. Jesus approaches it. He gets to the tall wooden door, reaches his hand out, and knocks. And as he's knocking, Jesus says, Sanford, it's Jesus, the Lady of the Lake has sent me. Then the door opens. I've been expecting you. Have a seat. Sandview paces around the room as if looking for something, then pauses and faces Jesus. So you're the one who's going to take on Elvarg, eh? Jesus responds by saying, yes, I must, to avenge my little sister. You took her from me. I'm sorry to hear about your loss. That's hard. But I must warn you of something. Jesus simply responds by saying, okay, what's that? Sandfrew says, Elvarg is a hierarchy dragon in the world of dragons. He is nearly as powerful as a King Black Dragon. Jesus says, the King Black Dragon? What? And Sandfrew responds by saying, yes, Elvarg has special abilities. He's not like your ordinary dragon. You must be prepared for this one. You're going to want to have a super combat potion. Jesus asks, what's that? Sandview, he basically says, it's a potion designed to help give you more strength and endurance. I have one here for you. I mixed it up before you came. Sandview says, you can have it, but promise me one thing. Jesus says, okay, yes, of course. And Sandview basically says, you won't drink this until you're absolutely sure you've found and are about to battle Elvarg, okay? Consider it liquid luck. Jesus says, I promise. Sandfrew says, good luck, and hands him the potion. So Jesus, at this point, walks out of Sandfrew's house and makes his way back to Oziak's house. Oziak is Jesus. I spoke to Sandfrew. Oziak responds by saying, oh yeah? What the hell? Like, what did he tell you? He gave me a super combat potion and told me to use it right before battle. Oziak says, I see. Those are a great potion, hard to come by, ingredients to create it. Very handy though. Jesus says, yes, I hope it gives me the strength I need. And Oziak says it will, and speaking of strength, sometimes it's better to use your brains over bronze. Strength is only in the mind. Oziak says, come, follow me into the wilderness. I must show you something. So Jesus follows Oziak into the wilderness. Oziak stops walking suddenly. Oziak then says, this is where we're going to train your strength. We need to teach you how to defend yourself. Jesus says, okay, sounds good. When do we start? Oziak responds by saying, right now. Sorry, I'm yawning really quick. I'm tired. It's like 4 a.m. for me. But I'm enjoying this, so a little off the topic, but Jesus says, okay, sounds good. When do we start? Oziak says, right now. I'm going to swing like a warrior. Come with me. Oziak and Jesus walk deeper into the wilderness, and Oziak stops and says, look around you. What do you see? Jesus responds by saying, I see trees, a lot of trees, actually. Oziak says, what else? And Jesus says, I don't know. Oziak responds by saying, hiding spots. When you're facing off a dragon, you can hide behind things in your surroundings to either find a better shot or to escape. Jesus says, oh, okay, I see. And so be aware of your surroundings. Oziak says, correct. Now you see that axe over there? Jesus says, yes. Oziak says, I want you to grab it. Jesus says, okay. So Jesus grabs the axe from the tree. Oziak says, now show me how you wield an axe when you're in battle. Jesus holds his arm out with a little bit of a limp. Not too confidently, though. Oziak says, No, 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 you need to stand in a certain stance and wield your weapon properly if you're going to win any battles with it. Oziak says, dominant arm cocked back, with the non-dominant arm guarding a portion of your face and body. Oziak says, this will allow you to strike and defend with both arms. This will keep you most protected. Oziak says, remember, you are nothing without your weapon. My weapon is my life. You're lost. You lose your weapon, you lose your life. Oziak says, repeat it. Jesus says, I am nothing without my weapon. My weapon is my life. I lose my weapon, I lose my life. Oziak says, good, live by those words, Jesus. Jesus says, I will, I promise. I am nothing without my weapon. I lose my weapon, I lose my life. Oziak then says, now the next step is to show you how to swing like a warrior. Show me how you currently swing your weapon. So Jesus says a quick demonstration on how he swings his weapon. Oziak says, close. You're swinging too much with your arms. Swing with your hips if you want a more deadly blow. Oziak says, pivot into the strike. Use your hips and rotate them as you swing. Jesus says, okay. And Oziak says, this will help with keeping your balance, and you'll have a much powerful strike with a bigger blow. Oziak says, now I want you to practice your swing on some nearby trees. Remember, swing like your life depends on it. So Jesus chops trees down for 3 hours, perfecting his swing and channeling his energy. Jesus grunts, and Oziak calls Jesus in for supper. Oziak says, you did great today, Jesus. Thank you so much, he says. Oziak says, what did you learn from today's lesson? Jesus responds by saying, a lot actually. I learned that my weapon is my life, and that I am nothing without it, and how to swing more powerfully and accurately. Oziak says, good, tomorrow's training will be a little more challenging, but it's super important, so you eat up, then get some rest. Jesus falls asleep and wakes up in a strange land. It's chilly but peaceful. He looks around and sees no one. Jesus says to himself, is anyone there? Anyone? His voice echoes in the distance. Then all of a sudden Jesus hears, Jesus, is that you? Jesus turns around and screams, Susie? Is that you? Jesus runs up to her. Susie responds, yes, Jesus, it's me. Jesus says, what? How? Where are we? Susie responds by saying, you're in heaven. Jesus says, what? Heaven? How did I get here? Susie says, I don't know. Maybe God did it. Jesus paused for a second and says, this can't be real. Susie smiles brightly. It is, Jesus. Jesus yells, I saw you die. Susie says, I know. I remember. Jesus breaks down in tears. I just sat there like a coward and let it take you. Susie responds by saying, there was nothing you could do, Jesus. The dragon was too powerful. Jesus says, Susie, but... Then Susie vanishes and the earth underneath him begins to shake. He hears a roar in the distance. Then he sees Elvarg in the distance marching his way towards him. Elvarg, he says. And Elvarg takes flight. He blows fire all around Jesus. Jesus screams at Elvarg, I will kill you. I will kill you. Do you hear me, Elvarg? I will kill you. Then Elvarg lands in front of Jesus. He approaches slowly, one step at a time. And Elvarg lets out a huge roar at Jesus. Jesus stands his ground and marches forward toward Elvarg. Then he wakes up. Oziak is up, staring at him. Bad dream? Jesus says, yeah, a little. It felt like I was in heaven. I saw Susie. And Alvar showed up. Oziak says, yeah, I heard you say her name a couple times in your head, a couple times in your sleep. It's probably just your mind playing tricks on you because of what you've gone through. Jesus says, it seemed real though, too real. Oziak says, yeah, sometimes dreams are powerful like that. They work in mysterious ways. Jesus basically says, yeah, I guess. It was just so real, like I was there. I saw her. Oziak says, I understand, kid. Jesus says, I think I'm gonna go pay the lady of the lake a visit and ask her. Is that okay with you? Oziak responds by saying, yes, of course. Just come back when you're done. 1 second. So at this point, Jesus makes his way to Taverley to talk to the Lady of the Lake. Jesus sees the Lady of the Lake, and before he can say anything to her, she says, I know why you're here, Jesus. Jesus responds by saying, you do? Why am I having these visions? The Lady of the Lake says, I mustn't tell you. Jesus responds by saying, tell me what? The Lady of the Lake sighs, and one door opens, another one closes. The Lady of the Lake says, when you made the decision to retrieve the first map piece, you opened up a doorway to a new world of prosperity and hope for all living creatures. The Lady of the Lake says, however, sometimes when doors are open, otherworldly creatures can take wind of it and walk through it. Jesus says, what do you mean? The Lady of the Lake responds by saying, it's not just your life that's going to be affected by the outcome of this. Many lives will perish. Shall you fail? Jesus, not knowing what to say says, oh, the Lady of the Lake, and says, there's a higher power watching over you. Jesus asks, who? What? The Lady of the Lake says, I don't know exactly, but are you now starting to understand the power you hold? Jesus simply says yes, I am. The lady of the lake says, good, I have faith in you, Jesus. Jesus thanks her then. Then Jesus makes his way back to Oziak's house. They lunch together and march out into the wilderness until they get to a specific location. Oziak says, okay, today's lesson is on archery. Have you ever shot a bow before? Jesus says, yes, of course. When I was a kid, my dad used to take me bow hunting. I had a pretty good shot. Oziak says, that's good. Okay, well, I'm going to place a target 15 yards away, okay? Jesus says, yes. Oziak says, your job is to hit the target 3 times in a row. We're not leaving until you do. Clear? Jesus says, 3 times? Oziak says, yes, 3 times. Jesus says, okay, I'll try. Oziak says, you better. It's important for you. You have an excellent shot with your bow. Your life may depend on it. There's a quiver full of arrows. 15 arrows over there. Go get them. So Jesus rushes over to the arrows and picks them up. Jesus then starts firing at the target. Hit. First shot. Jesus smiles. Oziak looks over at Jesus and says, beginner's luck. Jesus then loads another arrows. He pulls it back, then fires. Barely misses the target. Oziak says, see, we must work on this. Jesus says, I can do it. I will do it. Then 2 hours pass by. Jesus is getting frustrated. He lets out a growl. Jesus says, ugh. Oziak says, take a deep breath. When you're pulling your bow back, steady yourself. And as you're about to fire, exhale. So Jesus takes a deep breath in. He pulls his bow back, aims at the target, then releases. Direct hit. Oziak says, see? Jesus says, yes, that was super helpful. So Jesus loads another arrow into the quiver. He takes a deep breath, pulls his bow back, then releases. Direct hit. Oziak's eyes light up at this point. Jesus grabs another arrow, and he looks at Oziak and says, this is it. He pulls the arrow back, breathes deeply, and releases. The arrow glides through the air, then dink! Direct hit. Jesus screams in excitement, yes, I did it, I did it, I did it. Oziak says, yes, you did, nice work. Let's move on to the next challenge now. Jesus and Oziak start walking towards a meadow with some trees around it. Oziak says, Jesus, come here, I want to show you something. When it comes to hunting, your best weapon is surprise. If the enemy doesn't know you are there, they can't defend against your attacks. Oziak says, come here. Oziak walks Jesus over to a bear that seems to have stumbled into a trap, actually. Oziak says, traps are your friends. Whenever you're hunting anything, they are very useful. Do you have any knowledge with tying knots or the hunter skill? Jesus says, no, not really. I never really had any use for them. Oziak says, okay, well, you're going to learn today how to set up your first booby trap. There's a couple booby traps you can set up. Oziak says, one being the noose around the neck, which essentially snares the prey to death. It's the least painful out of these traps. Oziak says, second, you have the catapult or the slingshot, which essentially launches a projectile at the target once they've triggered a trap. And Oziak says, this is a deadly trap, but it does have the chance to miss sometimes. And Oziak says, then you've got the pit of doom, which essentially you dig a hole and hope something falls into it. Oziak says, we're going to focus on the noose and catapult. These two traps are going to be your most effective against a dragon. Oziak says, you want Elvar to step into a trap. This will help slow him down and weaken him. And it's lights out. Got it? Jesus says, yeah, that makes sense. Oziak says, stealth is key. Always do your best to conceal your traps so the prey doesn't see them. The surprise attack works wonders. Jesus says, Oziak, so this is how to tie a proper knot. Oziak says, make a loop by crossing one end of the rope. Jesus says, okay. Oziak says, pass the working end horizontally behind the loop, forming a smaller loop. Then pass the working end of the loop through the smaller loop and pull the loose end, and you have yourself a working trap. Jesus says, okay, yeah, I think I got it like this. Jesus successfully ties his first noose knot. Oziak says, perfect, great job. Oziak continues to show Jesus how to hang a noose knot in the right location so the prey walks right into it. Oziak says, you want to put yourself in the creature's shoes. Where would you go? Then prepare accordingly. Then Jesus and the Oziak return home from the wilderness. Oziak looks to Jesus while they're cooking dinner on the fire. Oziak says to Jesus, you did well today, Jesus. You need a little more work, but overall, you did a great job. Jesus says, thank you. That breathing technique you taught me was super valuable. Oziak says, yes, always remember to breathe and make sure you have a steady hand and mind. Also, I have something for you. It's a gift that I believe may help you. Oziak steps inside his house and brings out a bow. He hands it to Jesus. Jesus says, what? Really? I'm going to pause this really quick. Oziak steps inside his house and brings out a bow. He hands it to Jesus. Jesus says, what? Really? Oziak says, you'll need it more than I do. It's a maple short bow. It comes with 15 adamant arrows. Jesus says, adamant arrows? Whoa. Oziak says, yeah, adamant arrows should be strong enough to penetrate Alvarg's thick skin. Jesus says, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So Jesus looks around, and then he looks at Oziak. And he says to him, I think I'm going to go search for the second map piece tomorrow. Oziak says, that's a good idea. Do you know where you have to go? Jesus says, yes, I believe so. The guild master said something about the map piece being with the dwarves. I'm going to go ask him now. Oziak says, okay, sounds good. So at this point, Jesus makes his way back to the castle. It's past most people's bedtime at this point, and he makes his way into the castle and is heading upstairs. As he runs past the kitchen, he sees the cook. Jesus waves to the cook. And then Jesus races upstairs to the guildmaster's room. And he says, Guildmaster, I have retrieved the first map piece from the maze. The guildmaster says to him, Hold on, what do you mean you've retrieved the first map piece? Where have you been the past few days? Jesus says, I've been searching for the missing map pieces. I went through the maze and retrieved the first one. The map. It's a star map. The guildmaster looks puzzled. Oh, Jesus, come here. He turns around and is facing a shield hanging on the wall. He takes it off the wall, though. He then turns back to Jesus and says, if you truly retrieved the map piece, then you are the chosen one to slay the beast. The legend holds true. Jesus says, what do you mean, legend? Guildmaster says, my grandmother once told me, one day a great warrior, the greatest warrior Gilnor will ever see, will come to retrieve the 3 map pieces and slay the great beast once and for all. Guildmaster says, I believe you are that person. You're gonna need this shield. It's an anti-dragon fire shield. It can withstand the fiery breath of a dragon. The guildmaster hands Jesus the shield. Take it. So Jesus takes the shield and says, I need help locating the second map piece. You said your grandmother told you the dwarves had it, right? The guildmaster says, why yes, the dwarves locked it away in a secret room hidden somewhere in the mines. They say one must solve a riddle only the chosen one can answer to enter. And Jesus asks, do you know what the riddle is? The guildmaster says, unfortunately, I do not. Jesus says, okay, thanks anyways. So Jesus is making head to the dwarven mines at this point. Once he gets there, he's greeted by 3 dwarves, wondering what's he doing. Dwarf 1 says, hey, tall man. Jesus looks puzzled and says, me? Dwarf 1 says, yes, you. Do you see any other tall men around here? Jesus looks around and sees no one. No? Dwarf 1 says, what are you doing down here? Jesus hesitates for a second. I'm searching for a hidden map piece. It's supposed to be in these mines somewhere. Dwarf 2 and 3 laugh. Dwarf 2 says, Hidden treasure, eh? Jesus says, well, not quite, but something like that. Dwarf 1 leans into Jesus and says, the ancient map piece, 1 of 3. Jesus says, yes, that one. And Dwarf 1, the dwarf's been hiding the whereabouts of that map piece for years now. What makes you seek it? Jesus says, I intend to slay the beast. Dwarf 1 looks at Jesus, puzzled a bit, and says, do you know why we've kept it hidden for so long? Jesus says, no, why? And Dwarf 1 says, we didn't want anyone going where they shouldn't. You following? Jesus says, yes, but Dwarf 1 says, quit it. I don't need your reasoning. You seem like a bright young man. I'll lead you to the entrance, but that's it. So Jesus says, okay, thank you so much. And Dwarf 1 says, follow me. As Jesus follows the dwarf through the mines to a wide open entrance, he's greeted by a door with a few riddles on it, actually, and a box with 4 different markings or engravings on it. Jesus approaches the door. He tries to open it, but it's locked. Dang, he says. And Jesus steps back and reads the first riddle on the door. I am soft and smooth. I can warm you up or cool you down. What am I? A bed? No. A shirt? No. Silk. That has to be it. Silk. Jesus looks at the next riddle. What does a wizard love? Jesus thinks to himself, wizards love Jesus thinks for a second. A staff? No, that can't be it. A robe? No, not it either. No, it has to be something they love. What do the wise old men say he loved the most? Jesus then, a wizard mind's bomb. Bingo. Okay, next one. I'm used every day. My prey has 10 legs, and I work underwater. Bait? No. A fly fishing rod? No. Trout don't have legs. And Jesus says, what has 10 legs? As he thinks to himself. And Jesus says out loud, a lobster. A lobster pot. Yes, that must be it. Then Jesus says, okay, next one. He moves on to the next riddle. You can eat out of me, drink out of me, and even clean out of me. What am I? Jesus says to himself, you can eat out of me, clean out of me, and drink out of me. What? A sink? No. A cup? No, can't be. A bowl. That's it. Jesus yells with overwhelming excitement. Then Dwarf 1 comes in the room and asks why he's yelling. Dwarf 1 says, what's going on? And Jesus says, I figured it out. And the dwarf looks at him and goes, oh yeah? The first one is either silk or a blanket. The second one, what does a wizard love? Well, all the wizards I know love wizard mind bombs. It's their favorite. Dwarf 1 says, I see. The third one, I'm used every day. My prey has 10 legs and I work in water. It must be a lobster pot. Then Jesus says, lobsters are the only creature in the water that has 10 legs, 5 on each side. Jesus says, and the last one, you can eat out of me, drink out of me, and even clean out of me. Must be a bowl. Make sense? Dwarf 1 nods his head in agreement. And Jesus says, okay, I'll be right back. So Jesus makes his way to Falador and enters the local pub. The bartender approaches Jesus. The bartender asks, how may I help you? Can I interest you in our finest ale? Jesus says, no thanks. However, I would like a wizard mind bomb to go. The bartender says, coming right up. As Jesus is waiting for the wizard's mind bomb, he thinks through ways he can get the other items he needs. Jesus says to himself, the cook may have an extra bowl I can use. I think I can get a lobster pot from a charter ship. The nearest one is in Port Sarum. I can get a piece of silk from the Arty market. The bartender walks over to Jesus and hands him his drink. Then Jesus makes his way back to the castle. He enters the kitchen. He says to the cook, "Hey cook." The cook says, "Hey Jesus, how's it going? I made some fresh bread for you earlier, if you'd like some." Jesus says, "No thanks, I'm pretty good. I was just wondering if you had an extra bowl I could use for a little bit." The cook says, "Yes, of course, you may use the one on the table." And Jesus says, "Okay, sweet, thank you." Then Jesus makes his way to the Port Sarim docks. He approaches the trader Stan's trading post. Trader Stan says to him, How may I help you today, sir?" Jesus says, "I'd like to purchase a lobster pot from you." Trader Stan says, "That'll be 50 coins. Jesus says, "Okay, here you go." After retrieving the 3 items, Jesus makes his way to Ardi. He takes a boat from Port Sarim. He gets to Ardoni and goes to the market. He sees a silk merchant and he goes up to him. And Jesus says, "Hey, I'd like to purchase a piece of silk from you." The silk merchant says, That'll be 35 coins. And Jesus says, "Okay, here you go," and hands him the money and says, "Thank you." Then once Jesus retrieves the 4 items he needs, he heads up to the Ranging Guild in search of the Boots of Lightness. As he approaches the Ranging Guild, an instructor calls him over. The ranging instructor says, "You seem like a sharp fella. Let's see what kind of shot you have." So Jesus picks up the bow. He pulls it back and then releases. Bullseye. Ranging instructor says, "Whoa, nice shot." Jesus grabs another arrow. He pulls it back, then releases. Bullseye. The range instructor, "We've got an experienced archer in front of us. Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" And Jesus says, "I learned from the best." The range instructor, "Well, here's your prize." So the range instructor hands Jesus some archery tickets. Jesus cashes them in at the nearby stand for a hard leather G-top and a pair of hard leather chaps. Then he gives the rest of his tickets to a small boy. Then Jesus makes his way to the temple of Ikov. He goes downstairs. He searches around. He finds a basement. He lights his candle and searches the basement. He passes through a few spider webs, and he spots them. The Boots of Lightness. Jesus picks them up and makes his way back to Ardoni charter ship. Jesus takes the boat back to Port Sarim. Then he heads back to the mine. Dwarf 1 greets Jesus at the entrance. "Welcome back, sir." Jesus says, "I have all the items, I believe." The Dwarf 1 shows Jesus the door and says, "Good luck." Jesus approaches the chest. He puts the silk on the chest first. It clicks. Then he puts the wizard mind bomb on the chest. It clicks. Dwarf 1's eyes light up. Jesus then puts the lobster pot on the chest. Click. Then he puts the bowl on it, and the door makes a loud, crackling sound and begins to open. Jesus steps inside and sees a chest similar to the one in the maze. Jesus says, "Yes," as a huge smile opens up on his face. He opens the chest. He looks inside, and inside it is the second map piece. Jesus grabs it. Dwarf 1 says, "Bravo, kid, bravo." Jesus says, "Come with me, I want to show you something." Jesus and the dwarf exit the mines and head to the surface. Jesus says, "Watch this." Jesus shows the dwarf the map piece while the moon is shining on it. The map lights up and shines in the night. Dwarf 1 says, "Whoa, I've never seen such a thing. Magnificent." Jesus says, "Yeah, it's a star map. The other one did the same thing as well. Dwarf 1 says, the other one. Jesus says, yes, I retrieved the first one from the maze already. And then Dwarf 1 says, that's pretty cool. You know? Jesus says, yeah, I'm going to get going. I have a big mission ahead of me. Thank you so much for your help. Dwarf 1 says, yeah, anytime. Good luck. So Jesus heads back to Oziak's house. And once he gets there, he says to Oziak, I retrieved the second map piece. Oziak says, great job. And Jesus follows up with, yeah, it was hidden in the mines for months. Years, too. I met a dwarf and he showed me where it was. Oziak says, nice. One more to go, eh? Jesus looks at Oziak, nods his head, and says, yep. Jesus says, I gotta head back to the castle and ask the guildmaster where the third and final piece is again. Oziak says, I understand. Go. So this is the point where Jesus heads to the castle. He heads to the guildmaster's room. Jesus says, hey guildmaster, I was able to retrieve the second map piece. The guildmaster says, very nice, good job. And Jesus says, by any chance, are you able to tell me what the third and final piece is again? The guildmaster says, why yes, of course, the third and final piece is with the goblins. The guildmaster also follows up with saying, you may speak to them if you wish. Jesus says, okay, thank you so much. The guildmaster says, wait, Jesus, before you go, I have something for you. The guildmaster walks over to his chest, opens it, and pulls out a scimitar with the most beautiful blue blade. He then looks to Jesus and says, a medal of honor, a rune scimitar. It shows you're a warrior of great strength, great courage. There's only a couple in existence. Jesus, over the moon, was like, wow, I'm speechless. Thank you so much. And Guildmaster, anytime, says, anytime, you be safe now. So Jesus exits the castle and goes up the castle wall where he last saw his sister. He stares out the window and looks into the spot where the dragon took her. Jesus says, I will avenge you, Susie, I promise. He holds the scimitar out in front of him and takes a few swings through the air. He then says, nice blade, to himself. The next morning, Jesus heads to the goblin village. He approaches the generals. The goblin general says, what do you want, human? Jesus says, I seek the map piece. Goblin general says, the map piece? Jesus says, yes, the map piece. Goblin general says, we don't have it anymore. We gave it to Wormbrain. Jesus says, where's Wormbrain then? Goblin generals respond by saying he's in the Port Sam jail. He got arrested for treason against the goblin people. Jesus says, okay, thank you for your time. Jesus heads to the Port Sam jail. At this point, he asks the guards when he gets there if he's able to speak to Wormbrain. The guards escorts Jesus to Wormbrain's cell. And Jesus approaches Wormbrain and says, my name is Jesus. I'm in search of something from you. Wormbrain says, the map pieces, eh? Jesus says, yes, the map pieces. That's what I'm searching for. Rumor is that you were the last person to have it. Wormbrain says, I see. Well, I hid it somewhere. No one will ever find it. Jesus asks, where is it? Wormbrain responds like, I'll only tell you for 10,000 coins. Wormbrain says, well, Jesus says, 10,000 coins? Wormbrain says, yes, 10,000 coins. Jesus shakes his head for a second and asks, how can I trust you'll deliver? And Wormbrain asks him, do you have any other options available? Jesus says, no. Wormbrain says, okay, so we have a deal then, eh? Jesus says, fine, deal, where is it? Wormbrain, the location says the location of the map is 01 degrees, 18 minutes south, 14 degrees, 15 minutes east. Jesus writes on the coordinates. Then he says, okay, thank you. Jesus heads to the coordinates Wormbrain gave him, and then he starts digging. After a few minutes of digging, he hears a clink, and he knows he hit something. Jesus says, yes, he exclaims, yes, yes, yes. He keeps digging until he reveals a chest. He wipes away the dirt and looks similar to the others. He opens it. He looks inside the chest, and he sees the third and final map piece. Jesus screams in excitement. I did it, I did it, I did it, nearly fainting in the process. And at this point, he races back to Oziak's place to show him the discovery. He gets to Oziak's house, and Jesus and Oziak start trying to put the pieces back together. Jesus says, I think this piece goes right here, and this one goes right there. And then Jesus puts the pieces together in the proper order, and all three pieces begin to shine. Jesus says, whoa. And the map reveals a secret path, uncharted path, the top of a mountain, it looks like. Jesus says, that must be it. Jesus points to a part of the map that's shining brighter than other spots. Right here must be it. Both Jesus and Oziak stare at the map, and Oziak says something. It looks like a map of Krondor. Jesus says, where's that at? Oziak says, it's close to Karamja. I take it you're going to need a boat to get there. Jesus says, yes. Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, it looks like it. This area all seems like water. Oziak says, I know a guy in Port Sarim who you can speak to about purchasing a ship from. Jesus says, okay, who? And Oziak says, his name is Clarence. Jesus heads to Port Sarim in search of Clarence. Jesus finds Clarence at one of the farther docks. Clarence says, are you looking to purchase a ship, young lad? Jesus goes, why, yes, I am. Clarence says, where are you planning on sailing, boy? Jesus says, Karamja, around that area, most likely. Clarence says, okay, well, before you set sail, you may want to check the lower deck. There may be a few holes you'll want to patch up before you set sail. And you'll need a captain who knows the waters. Jesus says, okay, thank you. So Jesus boards the ship and climbs down to the lower deck. He sees the two giant holes that look like they're going to need to be repaired. So Jesus makes his way off the ship, and he heads back to Oziak. Jesus says, I got the ship and need some work to it before I set sail, and I need a captain who knows the waters. Oziak says, don't look at me for a captain. I haven't sailed since my youth. Try talking to Ned and Draenor. And Oziak also says, and for your repairs, there are 3 planks near the graveyard of shadows in the wilderness. Those should do the job. So Jesus heads to the graveyard of shadows and finds 3 perfect-sized planks. Then he makes his way to Varrock Lumberyard to purchase some nails. Jesus then heads back to the ship. He repairs the hole with the planks and seals them shut. And then Jesus says, we're all set, just about ready to sail. I just need a captain. So Jesus makes his way to Draenor. He goes to Ned's house. He knocks on the door. Says, Jesus, Well, Jesus says, Ned, are you there? It's Jesus. I need a favor to ask. Ned responds by, why yes, come in. What do you need? Jesus says, well, I need a captain, someone who knows how to charter the seas near Crandor. Ned says, Crandor, why there? Jesus says, I have retrieved the 3 map pieces. I know exactly where Alvarg stays. Ned says, the map pieces. Jesus says, yes, the 3 map pieces. I have them all. I know where he is, but I need to get there by sea. And I need an experienced traveler who knows how to charter the seas. Ned leans back in his chair. He thinks about Jesus' request for a second and then says, okay, I'll help you. Jesus says, great, I have a ship. It's in Port Sarim. Meet me there by nightfall. And Ned says, okay, will do. Jesus makes his way back to the castle to prepare for battle. Jesus grabs his myth spear, his maple shortbow, some adamant arrows, the rune scimitar, the anti-dragon fire shield, 3 ropes, and the 2 potions. He equips his studded body and studded chaps. Then Jesus makes his way to Port Sarim. He sees Ned on the docks. Jesus goes up to him and shows him the way to the ship. And right before they set sail, Ned asks, so what are you going to name her? Jesus says, she already has a name, Lady Lumbridge. And Ned says, that's a beautiful name. Are you ready to set sail now? Do you have everything? Jesus says, yes, I have everything I need. Then Jesus and Ned set sail for Crandor. Halfway there, a storm cloud rolls in. Ned says, we've got a bad storm ahead of us, Jesus. You may want to go to the lower deck. Jesus says, I'm fine up here, as he's staring off into the distance. A few moments later, Ned catches a glimpse of the island. Land ho! Land ho! Jesus comes up to the upper deck to see the island as well. He sees it too. He looks at Ned and says, thank you so much. Ned says, don't thank me yet. It looks like we have some trouble ahead of us. They look off into the horizon and see 2 baby blue dragons and 1 red one come flying right at them. They breathe fire at the ship. They're trying to sink us. Load the cannon, Ned says. Jesus loads the cannon. Fire at the baby blue dragon, Ned screams. Then Jesus aims at the cannon at the 2 blue dragons. He fires, barely missing the 2 dragons. After that shot, the dragon decides to fly back to the island. Ned screams, the ship is on fire. Put out as much as you can. Jesus frantically pours buckets of water on loose flames. Then all of a sudden, a huge wave forms in the distance, heading towards the island. We're going to get hit by that wave. We have to make it to the island before she hits or we're toast, screams Ned. Jesus says, step on it. Ned screams, lower the sails in front of the ship. Jesus screams, aye aye, Captain. Jesus lowers the sail in front, and the ship begins to pick up speed. Ned says, we're going to make it. We're going to make it. Then they make it to shore. As the wave comes crashing in, Ned yells, hang on! Jesus grabs the nearest pole he can, then crash. The wave crashes into the ship, and moves the ship up onto the banks. Ned says, "We're stuck. We weren't too close when the wave hit." Jesus says, "Can't you get us out?" Ned says, "Yes, but it may take a little bit of time. You go ahead, I'll stay here and get us unstuck." Jesus says, "Okay." So Jesus takes one more look at the 3 map pieces, then proceeds to head out in search of the path. He makes his way onto the island and starts following the coastal line. Jesus says, "There should be a path leading directly from the coast up the mountain." Jesus walks for a little while. He looks around and doesn't see a single footprint in the sand. As he's walking, though, he thinks to himself, "This is kind of peaceful." Then he sees an opening with a path leading up the mountain. Jesus says, "This must be it." He makes his way up the path. It begins to rain. Then after a little while, he's led to a cave entrance. It has a foul smell of sulfur. Jesus nearly vomits because of the smell, but he proceeds to enter. After a few moments, the cave widens. Then he's met with a part where the path splits, and he can go a couple different directions. He looks at the path to his right. He listens deeply. He hears nothing. He looks to the middle path and sees and hears nothing. He looks to the path to his left, and in the distance he hears a very faint rumble. Jesus says to himself, "Elvarg." Then Jesus makes his way down the left path. As he gets deeper into the cave, the rumble gets louder and louder. Jesus knows he's getting close at this point. Then he enters a rather large room with many tunnels in it, and then he sees Elvarg in the back of the room, sleeping. Jesus carefully backs up, quietly. He glances around the room for options. He sees a large stone in one of the tunnels. Jesus says, "I can use this to create a trap." Then he carefully walks over to it and sets up his trap. He loads it with 3 adamant arrows. "Perfect," he says. Then Jesus sets up a noose knot in front of one of the tunnels. He then proceeds to look around the chambers for any small objects he can throw to wake up Elvarg. Jesus finds a small rock. He throws it to the back of the room. As he does, he bolts into a tunnel, and a few seconds later he hears clack, 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 pow, as the rock hits the wall. Then he hears Elvarg snort and shake. He hears him get up, crunch, crunch, as Elvarg is crushing the gold pieces beneath him. Then Elvarg walks over to the point of the room where he heard the noise. He blows fire down the hall and roars. Then he turns around and starts sniffing. Sniff. Sniff, sniff. Then he growls and looks over at Jesus' position. And Jesus takes a run for it. Elvarg breathes fire his way. Jesus dives to cover, and Elvarg starts to walk towards him. Jesus pulls out his maple shortbow and fires at Elvarg. Jesus hits him in the side of the neck. Elvarg gets pissed and charges forward, smashing into one of the tunnels. Jesus makes a run for it across the room and repositions. He grabs his bow and fires an arrow at Elvarg as he's getting back up. The arrow pierces Elvarg's stomach. Elvarg grunts in pain and shoots fire up into the ceiling. The whole room lights up and the mountain quakes. Ned hears a big loud bang from the mountain and says, "Oh boy, please be careful, Jesus." As the flames die out on the ceiling walls, Jesus makes a run for it. Alvard does a tail whip, trying to hit him. Boom! Alvard knocks Jesus over from the back. Jesus rolls into a tunnel and immediately puts up his anti-dragon fire shield. As he does, Alvard breathes fire at him. His shield blocks the flames from burning him. And Alvard approaches Jesus, and Jesus gets up and shoots an arrow at Alvard, hitting him in the side of the face. Alvard turns. Jesus makes a run for it to another tunnel, and Jesus baits Alvard to the tunnel with a noose knot. Alvard spots him and chases after him. Then Alvard's neck gets caught in the noose knot. Alvard growls, the knot tightens, and Alvard yanks it to the right, breaking the trap from its hold. Alvard roars, and he takes flight, and he busts the top of the mountain trying to escape. Jesus grabs the rope. Alvard gets about 7 to 10 feet in the air before the rope pulls on Jesus, choking the beast momentarily. Alvard crash lands on top of the mountain, pulling Jesus up to him out of the hole. Alvard recovers and gets up. He shakes his head violently, then he stares at Jesus, and he lets out a terrifying roar. Then he breathes fire at Jesus. Jesus nearly avoids the flame by diving behind a large boulder. Jesus says to himself, "I must think of something fast." Then Jesus checks his bag to see what he has on him as a weapon. He sees his rune scimitar, but the dragon is too far away to use it. He sees the anti-fire potion the wise old man gave to him, and Jesus says to him, "This better work." So Jesus grips the anti-fire potion in his dominant hand. He sees the rope leading back down, and he says to himself, "I must lure it back down into the cave. I can't defeat this dragon in the open." Then Alvard starts to approach him. Jesus grips the anti-fire potion in his hand, and he gets up and sees the dragon 10 to 15 feet away from him. He chucks his potion at him, direct hit smoking Alvard in the face. Alvard steps back, roars, and blows a bit of fire in the air. Jesus screams, "Yes, it worked." Alvard starts to try and get the potion out of its eyes. So Jesus makes a run for it back into the cave. He climbs the rope back down. A few seconds later, Jesus reaches the bottom of Alvard's lair. Jesus picks up his bow off the ground. As he does, he can hear Alvard shaking the ceiling as he makes his way towards the hole. The moon's rays shine into the cavern, and all of a sudden it goes black, and he hears the silent rumble of Alvard descending back down into the cave. Hiss, 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 crunch, 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 as the weight of Alvard crushes the walls in. As Alvard is descending down, he's sniffing for Jesus. He hears him sniff. Then a second later, boom, as Alvard makes his way to the bottom. He is licking his lips as he smells and approaches Jesus. Before Alvard can find him, Jesus fires an arrow at him, hitting him in the arm. Alvard grunts and turns toward Jesus' location. Then Jesus fires another arrow, hitting Alvard in the snout. Alvard backs up and growls. Jesus makes a run for it to the other side of the cave. Alvard blows fire at Jesus as he runs past. Then Jesus runs into a dead end. Elvarg snorts and slowly walks towards Jesus, and Elvarg growls as he gets closer. Jesus puts his anti-dragonfire shield in front of him and wields his spear in the other hand. Elvarg stares at Jesus, shakes his head, and clamps down onto Jesus' anti-dragonfire shield. Elvarg shakes Jesus violently by breaking it in half and launching Jesus to the right and into another tunnel. Jesus tries to crawl to safety, but Elvarg is on him too fast. He cocks his spear back as Elvarg enters the tunnel. Then the trap Jesus set earlier triggers. Three adamant arrows pierce into Elvarg's neck. He roars, steps back, and falls to his side. Jesus charges him with his missed spear. "This is for Susie," Jesus yells as he spears Elvarg in the neck. "This is for Susie." Then Elvarg tries to get back up, but Jesus pierces him in the neck again. Elvarg drops back down, barely having the strength to move. Then Jesus walks up to Elvarg and looks the beast in the eyes. He sees tears of pain leave Elvarg's eyes before Elvarg closes them. Jesus delivers the final blow with his rune scimitar. Then he cuts off Elvarg's head and carries it back with him. He exits the cave and stumbles away down the mountain, exhausted. Ned helps him aboard the ship, and they sail back to Port Sarim. Jesus makes his way back to Oziak's house. He throws Elvarg's head on the table. Oziak's eyes light up and says, "Wow, Jesus, I'm so proud of you." Jesus shows Oziak the broken anti-dragonfire shield and says, "Yeah, it was a battle." Oziak says, "You're a hero now, Jesus." Jesus smiles, and the king of Varrock ends up holding a big celebration for Jesus' victory in Varrock. Knights from all around the kingdom come to celebrate this great day. The end. Then after the credits are done, I want to have like a little thing that will like lead into the next one. Two dragons are in a hidden location talking. Dragon 1 says, "Elvarg has been killed, sis." Dragon 2 responds by saying, "I know," as a crystal ball shows an image of Jesus at the festival. Dragon 2 says, "We must act fast." Then you hear a zapping noise and a loud roar off in the distance. And that's the end. So if you enjoyed this this script I wrote for the Dragon Slayer movie, let me know in the comments below. What was your favorite part? Did you like the ending? Was it sick? What you feel? Because truthfully, when I wrote that part, that kind of took a little bit of imagination, and it was pretty fun to write, though. And feel free to share this with people, And other than that, have a great day. Subscribe, like, and comment too. I will see you later. Thank you so much.